Hello, my name is Dr. Salman Tetik from Scholar School System, and my module name is Introduction to Business Operations and Management. And today I will give you a lecture from this module, and you can find my email here. In any case, if you have any question, you can send me email. Let me start my lecture today. This is going to be the first chapter actually of this model. Is going to be an introduction to business part. So as a result of this lecture, the expected outcomes will be about the definition of the business, and in terms of the concept of the business, we are going to discuss some of the basic and the concepts and definitions of the business. So by the end of this session, you are going to have what is a business, why does it exist, and what are the basic objectives of the businesses. And after building a business, all the entrepreneurs and the business owners set some objectives. What type of objectives are developed by the business owners? This is going to be another output of this lecture. And another question is going to come to mind. What do the businesses establish their priorities and objectives? Absolutely, we expect businesses to set objectives, but how to do this? Is there any certain methodology to build objectives? And what are the priorities of the businesses to set objectives of their organizations? And how do we classify the businesses, and what type of businesses are there in the business world? And I hope when we finish the session, we are going to have all those outcomes. All right, the first question, what is a business? Actually, all of us are aware of this concept because even we do not know the definition of this business in the literature, we know something about that. And mostly the money comes to our mind when we are talking about the business or profit or financial outputs. But is that only about the making money, or is that only about the financial outcome? Or is that another thing that should be discussed in terms of the business? Today we are going to answer on this question. And another important key question, I think, why do businesses exist? Is the only purpose making money for the businesses, or is there any other motivation, or is there another purpose to run a business for the business owners and entrepreneurs? This is going to be a second question to be answered. And what are the basic objectives of the businesses? So as we have outlined in the part of the possible outcomes of this session, what are the basic objectives of the businesses? Is there any specific area to be defined for the objectives? And we are going to define all those questions. First, let's discuss about what a business is. Actually, as we know, it's a matter of the money, it's a matter of the making profit, but how and what actually? Peter Drucker, he is one of the most important person in the management of the field. He says that business is not the profit purpose activity. He thinks that the profit is the output of the business done. What's the meaning of that? The business directly does not aim to make money, but once a business does good things, as a result will obtain the good output. So in that case, how do we define the business? Business is a profit-seeking activity. We cannot ignore that. It's absolutely a profit-seeking activity. That's why we call it business organization. Whoever is running a business, it means that yes, the person has the business. But how and what? So at first, we should state that point. Is a profit-seeking activity. Is a profit-seeking activity for what? Is a profit-seeking activity to satisfy the needs of the people. If you do not have any attempt to satisfy the needs of the people, your products or your services, your ideas will not be bought by the people. So absolutely, whatever you do, it should satisfy any need of the people. So it's a profit-seeking activity to satisfy the human needs by providing goods, services, or ideas, advices, right? As you know, not all the business organizations are producing goods or tangible products. On the other side, some of the organizations, some of the businesses are producing idea, opinion, suggestion, advices, so they earn money. So by doing this, and they operate within an economic system. So this is the business. What does it mean? Let me tell you again. As a whole, the final definition, it is a profit-seeking activity to satisfy the human needs by providing goods and services and ideas within an economic system. Actually, you cannot ignore the factors surrounding the business. So one of the essential factor is about the economic system as a part of the economic factor. Why is it important? If you want to run a business, if you want to start a business, first you check the economical factors of the country or the city or wherever you want to run your business. You examine the economical factors, and primarily with respect to the economic system of the country, you take some actions to run a business. That's why all the businesses operate within an economic system. It may be a capital economic system, social economic system, or mixed economic system, right? So it depends. So business is this. And sure, in order to generate the profit by the businesses, we expect them to provide goods and services and also ideas. What type of businesses? We know that on the one side, in order to provide a product, first you need to have a manufacturing process. On the other side, if you are operating in a service industry, you may have the valuable services for the customers, for the people to satisfy their some of needs. All right. And the second question, actually, as we have discussed, why businesses exist. And first, it is easy to answer this question in terms of the purpose of the business for some other people. What is that? This is the making money. Okay, that's good. Yeah. On the one hand, we have it to earn money, but before doing that, in order to earn money, first you need to do something. What is that? You should create an organization, a group of people to do this. So whoever is taking initiative and risk and responsibility to run a business, we call them as the entrepreneurs, right? So businesses exist because they are created by the entrepreneurs, are those who take the risk, who take the initiative to run a business, and they are subsequently developed if they manage to get beyond the survival stage, right? When you assume all the biggest companies, right, all the big companies, you will see behind those companies there are big entrepreneurs. What's the meaning of that? A creative entrepreneurs, like Apple, when you imagine Google, Facebook, right, or Microsoft, or Tesla, right? When you see all those organizations, you will see that a creative mind sets behind all those businesses, right? Okay, of course, in return, businesses will expect to make the money. And as I mentioned, the making money or making profit is not the only objective of the business. What sort of other objectives are there for the businesses? At first, you may say that, okay, making profit, we all accept it. And it's one of the important motivation for the businesses. On the other side, businesses may have an objective including a market leader. In order to be a market leader or industrial leader, they may be involved in an intensive competition. So setting an objective including the market leadership may push businesses for an intensive competition, right? So later in our courses and lectures, we will discuss some of the concepts in terms of the competition. We will talk about the competitive advantage and also the competitive environment and analyzing the competition or rivalry in the industry. But for now, we are just supposed to know that market share or market competition is going to be one of the objectives of the businesses. And you cannot ignore in any businesses, you will have definitely some the competitors. So you should take some actions against your competitors to overcome the rivalry. And another objective, sure, it's closely related with the profitability and sales maximization. In order to increase the sales maximization, how do you motivate your people to do that? And it's going to be another objective, setting an objective with respect to the sales amount and growing quickly. And in the long run, we will discuss BCG metrics, growth share, and it reflects the growth share performance of the businesses. And we will see that in some of the industries, the businesses may grow rapidly or faster than the other industries. Is about the nature of the industry. When you make an investment in an industry, you may not grow as well as the other industries, but in some of the specific industries, you may take the steps faster than the other industries. It depends. But it's not related only to the industry. On the other side, it's based on your performance as well. If you have an objective to grow, yeah, that motivates and that pushes you to do more. And this is about setting an objective. And actually, as a part of your strategy, your business strategy, you may be motivated to operate in a wide range of the markets. And at first, your target customer may be placed in Western cities, but you may extend your market by regarding the Asia, right? And also on the other side, Middle East on the other side, and also maybe the African countries. So if you want to present your products or services to a wide range of the market, it may be your objective. Of course, all these type of the objectives are really challenging objectives. And another thing actually is slightly different from the making profit, and one of the objectives may be providing and the owners with a steady income. The income, actually, in terms of the concept, income is slightly different from the profit, because the profits as a formula is the difference between the income and the cost. But income, as you know that, of course, the owners or shareholders are expecting the income from the business. Not only the shareholders or the owners, all the stakeholders are expecting something from the organization. The customers are expecting in a different way. So, and suppliers are expecting different things. Employers are expecting different things, and the shareholders, as the nature of the holding a share within the organization, they hope to get more financial outputs. And also, in order to run a business, the was going to be one of the main motivation and the fulfillment. It may be that, some of the people, if you remember some of the motivational theories, some of the people can be motivated by the achievement, as well as they accomplish some of the objectives, or as well as they obtain some of the success. They will be highly motivated and they will be encouraged to do more. It's about the freedom to express themselves in their work or in their businesses. Maybe if you conduct a research or survey to the people, if you had a chance to get your own business, most people will say yes, it gives me a freedom to do on their own, right? So this is like that, is about the freedom of the people to do something by themselves. Businesses give this to the people. And how to do this? Yeah, it's easy to talk about the setting objectives. Actually, it's always good to say what to do, but the critical point is about how to do. In the literature, this is a way suggested to set the objectives by following a SMART formula. What does it refer to, the SMART formula? It means that in any area you are setting an objective, first it should be specific. What's the meaning of the specific? For instance, you want to develop a sales objective. Yeah, absolutely. All the given objectives should relate to the sales operations and sales amount, right? And also it should be very, very specific. There shouldn't be any general statement for the objective. That's why we try to identify the objectives by the numbers. Let's say that. And by the end of the 2020, the sales amount will be increased by 20%. Yeah, this is, if you define it by the number, it's going to be the acceptable objective for the sales force. And but our first concern is about the area of the objective. Is it an area specific or not? And then it should be measurable. In order to get a measurable the objective, you need to identify the numbers, because it should be counted, it should be calculated. As I gave you an example, from the last year to the current year, how much increase were obtained, right? In order to do this, first you need to know the last year's sales amount, this year's sales amount, and we should calculate it. Okay, you have calculated. If there is no increase, and is it going to be a good performance or not? In order to understand this, first you need to set a certain amount of the increase. Let's say that by 10%, 20%, 30%, right? Whatever is that. It should be measurable. And then it should be achievable. What's the meaning of that? Yeah, you can set, as the owner of the business, any objective. You can say that, yeah, next year, your objective is to increase the sales amount 100%. Is it realistic? Is it achievable? Does it motivate the people to achieve this, right? So it should be achievable. And reliable, right? And is the fourth the condition. It should be reliable to people. And the last thing, there should be time boundary, right? Time boundary. It should be timely. Let's say that within 1 year, within 6 months, within 3 months, how long am I supposed to achieve this organizational objective? I need to know this. If there is no time boundary, people will not be motivated to accomplish in a certain time, in a short period of time to do this. And final thing that I want to say in terms of the setting the objectives, establishing the organizational objectives. And actually there is always, it works like that, but in some cases, if you are not setting objective with respect to that rule, and it's not good to setting objective. What is that? And all the objectives come from top of the organization to the bottom of the organization. What's the meaning of that? Generally we have the vision and the mission of the organization. So all the objectives are derived and obtained from the mission and the vision of the objectives. First, we divide the general objectives of the organization to departments, main departments. Under these departments, all the individual has its own objective, right? So there should be a synchronization between the objectives of the individuals, departments, and the mission of the organization, right? This is very, very important thing. All right. We classify the businesses mainly by public sector businesses and private sector businesses. And even though we mostly state the importance of the making money for the business, public sector businesses' main purpose is not to make money. They have some special purposes rather than making profit. These other aims could include the social activities, or such as caring for elderly people, or keeping law and order, and for instance, police force, libraries, right, schools, some of the universities, blah, blah. All those type of the businesses are public sector businesses. Even though they generate the profit, their primary objective is not to generate profit. But in private sector, we cannot look about the primary objective in terms of the serving the public, in terms of the providing the services to the different group of the people. In private sector, the primary objective of the businesses is to make money. This is the only one difference. Apart from that, even you have a business in public sector or in private sector, all the functions are the same within the organizations. What does it mean? Both of the businesses have the same functions such as HRM, operations, production, public relations, research and development activities, marketing, sales, finance, accounting. All functions are operated by the public sector businesses and the private sector businesses as well. So more specifically, we have different types of the businesses, as you may say, forms of the businesses for the private sector. First and the basic one is the sole trader. As an individual, you may operate by using the sole trader form of the business. In this type of the business is owned and controlled only by one person, as an entrepreneur or as an owner of the business. Ownership belongs to the one person, but here in sole trader form, financial liability is held by the owner of the business with all debts. What's the meaning of that? Even you have your own commodities and assets, personally you are liable for all the debts of the business if you are operating in sole trader form. And what's the problem may arise in sole trader form of the business? As the owner is a single person and there is nobody else as the owner of the business, it may be a lack of the management skills or lack of capital in some cases. And also unlimited liability with all assets that the owner has. These are the negative aspects of the operating by sole trader form of the business. Compared to sole trader, partnership has some advantages. What kind of advantages? Yeah, it is owned at least by two people, right? It may be more than two, but at least there are two partners. And this gives an opportunity to share investments and the responsibilities to the people. But on the other side, yeah, I think you think as well, sometimes it may result some of the conflicts between the people. But if you think positively, compared to sole trader, it gives an opportunity to the business for increasing the amount of the investment. And also it gives an opportunity to increase the skills of the business. One person ensures a limited capability, limited skill, and a limited investment. If there are two people to run a business, they are more likely to provide more financial resources, and also as there are at least two, they will have more skills and abilities, and their decision making process will be empowered by at least two people. And was the limited company, and we categorize the limited companies, private limited company and the public limited company. The private limited companies mostly are owned by the shareholders in a family members. So they are not able to sell their shares to the general public. And the ownership are represented by the shares. So shareholders are the owners of the business. And one of the advantage of the private limited company, actually this is the advantage of all the types of the limited companies, but as I'm talking about the private limited company, that provides the limited liability to the investors and for the debts of the business. So as well as they invest to this business, they are liable to the business. Okay, this is a very, very critical point for the limited company. But what are the problems may be faced in a limited company? Yeah, like it's not like the partnership or the sole trader form doesn't give 100% control to the shareholders. So there may be some loss of control. And the ownership, when the owner sells shares to friends or business, it may be the transferred, but they don't have any chance to sell their share to general public in a private limited company. What about the public limited company? It is owned by the shareholders like the private limited company, but anybody from the public may buy the shares of these and the company. So, which has the right to sell shares to general public. And on the one side, yeah, it's an advantage to increase the amount of the investment, provide equality. But on the other side, that may be a disadvantage as well. You know, even though you do not know the people, they come to organization to be an owner of this organization or shareholder of this organization, this business. And so the ownership belongs to the shareholders. It may be general public or investment pension funds. And also, like the private limited company, it gives the limited and the financial liability to the people as well as their investment. And like the possible problems may be confronted, and like loss of the control, ownership by original owners, divorce between ownership and control, and full disclosure on accounts as legally required. So as they are private limited company, all the financial reports and the recordings should be announced to the public. And what of the modern business environment? The modern business environments can be characterized in terms of the management style, corporate culture, values, beliefs, operating styles, or so many things can be involved. But mainly, we analyze any business environment by two types of the factors. On the one side, we have the internal factors, internal environment of the business. On the other side, we have the external factors surrounds the business. What are the internal factors? Internal factors are the processes within the organization to run a business. You know, there are some functions, we call them business functions, like HRM, accounting, finance, the production, public relations, research and development, etc. Yeah, all they have their own processes within the organization. Or in terms of the management functions, planning, organizing, staffing, leading, controlling, yeah, they are all the parts of the internal factors of the organization. Within your own business system, you create these processes. But on the other side, we have some external factors. You cannot control or change them, but you can adapt your business against the change surrounding the business by the external factors. But within the organization, you can change, you can manage, you can develop your internal factors as they are the processes of the current business organization. What are the external factors? The external factors cannot be controlled by the business directly, but with respect to all those factors, the business may develop or may take some actions, precautions against these factors. Those are called external factors. When we are talking about the external factors, what comes to your mind first? I think the economy or economic systems, right? As we have defined in the concept of the business. Businesses operate within an economic system, so they are closely related to the economic system and economical factors. So we have economic factors, we have political factors, we have legal factors, we have social factors, we have technological factors. Let's try to define one by one all those factors. Political factors, what that is about the way of the government legislation. So it may closely affect the operation of the business, you know, the type of the government, right? Or any regulation comes from the government may closely affect your business. So that's why it should be taken into account by the business. On the other side, we have the economic factors. At the macro or micro level, the economy can affect the environment of a business, right? You know, sometimes if you are operating an international market, you follow the currency change, right? You follow the tariffs. So, but if you're operating in a local market, you take into account the different factors in terms of the economic stability or something. And also the social factors, social trends can also be effective on business, right? As a business, you need to follow the social movements, social change in a population, right? With respect to your product or service, you may think something to be changed or to adopt your business and organization. And technological factors, right? By the development of the technology, business is changing completely. So you cannot ignore the technological factor. Some cases you adopt your organization with the technological infrastructure. You adopt some computerized systems if you have a manufacturing organization or something. For instance, during the COVID-19, all we operate by using the technological benefits, right? So as well as you adopt the technology, it may bring you some technological advantage or not, right? It is calculated by the organization. Yeah, and as in the last part of this session, and I would like you to give a homework for the next session, and please identify a simple supply chain from raw material to consumer. How does it work? It starts from the obtaining material. At the end, it reaches as a final product to the consumer. So if you are able to identify this, it will be good to understand better the next topic. As a summary, what did we do today? And we have defined the business and discussed why does the business exist. And also we defined and discussed what are the basic type of the business objectives, what type of business objectives can be developed, and how is it developed, and what are the priorities of establishing objectives for the business, and what types of businesses are there, form of the businesses we have discussed, and finally, we have discussed the modern business environment surrounds the business and in a modern world. Please, if you have any question about the lecture, and here is my email. You can find my email on the screen. You can send me email to get more information about the topic. Thanks for joining this session.